Hi, I'm a Power Rangers fan, and you're going to get a face full of it today because somehow Hasbro can't make money off of 5 brightly colored teenagers with attitude who have 5 animal-based robots that combine into a giant humanoid robot that beats the pants off of giant monsters sent by a moon witch who is inexplicably obsessed with a coastal town in California. And that's just the first season of 28, right? 30 years of Power Rangers have been out there. There's 28 different teams of Power Rangers that exist, and somehow Hasbro can't make a profit off of this. Not enough that they get to keep the dang franchise. They've outsourced it, even outsourced it to Playmates. We'll get on to that in a little bit here. But this is really the biggest problem that's going on with the franchise, is it seems that Hasbro doesn't have any faith in it. They don't seem to understand how to even make the show, let alone how to make a profit with it. Let me explain. When Hasbro bought this, they got it from Saban, and Saban had bought it back from Disney, who they had sold it to back in the early 2000s. You may have known that the Power Rangers brand went through an immense production upgrade around 2005. I think that's when Disney got a hold of it, and so it went way through the roof with its production value. Some of the best were made back then, and I think that's when Michael Eisner was running Disney, so things probably were still pretty sketchy, but they were at least still trying to entertain families while being weirdos underground, most likely. But I digress back to Power Rangers. When Hasbro bought this, it was a very formulaic system that Saban brands pioneered back in the day. So how this works is that in Japan, there is a show called Super Sentai. It was started in the 70s. And what you know as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is actually Zyuranger over in Japan. And what Saban did was they cut out all of the footage featuring the Japanese actors without their suits, okay? So the Super Sentai heroes are the brightly colored, spandex-clad, helmet-wearing kung fu fighters, all right? That you see in the latter part of the Power Rangers shows, most of the time anyway, in the episodes. And so what Saban would do is that 60% of the show would be made up of these fight scenes. The majority of the show would lean into, especially the expensive parts of the show, would lean into the Japanese footage, which was already shot, already choreographed. The stuntmen had already done everything they needed to do. It later would evolve into sending the suits to America so that some footage could be joined together. You'd have, for instance, all the park battles that the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would get into when the White Ranger showed up. Well, this was because the Japanese footage does not have that White Ranger with that team. He's from an entirely different team, if you don't know that. He's from Die Ranger. The Green Ranger, the Dragon Ranger he originally was, dies. Dead. Dead in the Zyuranger series. That's why the Green Ranger disappears in that series and the footage keeps going. Well, they had to introduce the White Ranger, okay, in order to keep the show going because Tommy had become so popular. Now, I want to remind you, we're still talking about a property that went global in its influence. It exploded onto the scene because it was the first of its kind in the West. In the West. I want to stress this. In the West. And it maintained that. All the way up through even to today, there is not a one-to-one copy of the Power Rangers franchise that exists in the West. You can go ahead and look at Tron. It's kind of close, but they're not fighting monsters. You can go ahead and look at Darker Than Black. That is I think that's the name of the comic, but that's a comic book from Image Comics. I think that's what it is. But again, you're looking at these franchises visually, right? But none of them had the giant robot battles, the teenagers in school, or young adults rather, that are fighting evil, willing to sacrifice their life and freedom to fight evil, right? And so it's just a story of people wearing the aesthetic of Power Rangers, okay? Even then, the aesthetic of Power Rangers wasn't duplicated here in the West, okay? Look around you. Do you see another franchise sporting multicolored clad people with helmets doing kung fu? No, you don't. You see parodies of it, of Power Rangers in television shows. There's certain episodes where characters will wear brightly colored, tight-fitting clothing and jump around doing exaggerated kung fu moves. Absolutely. You'll see that. I think the Paw Patrol just recently had one of those Power Ranger callback things in their movie. it is infectious to our culture. It's ingrained into post-90s children's entertainment. And Hasbro can't make a profit with it. How is that possible? You have to sit on that property so hard to snuff it out. I just can't. I don't know how they managed to do this, really, to screw this up so bad. If you don't know, the Dino Fury series, which was second to last of what we now understand to be the Power Rangers franchise closing at 30 years. So Dino Fury was the 29th season, and the that had homegrown footage in it. It was filmed in New Zealand, and it was homegrown footage. They did not use a lot of the Japanese footage. It was mostly the giant robot footage and some fights, but the majority of the suited footage, which was originally supposed to come from Japan, the donor footage, right? There was mostly no donor footage. Most of what Dino Fury's action scenes were filmed in New Zealand. Whole new things, using the suits from Japan, whole new series, whole new scenes, whole new film, all right? Now, they did this, right? They went out and they had to have this. They won a GLAAD award for it. All right. Now, if you don't know, in the Power Rangers franchise, even the very first Yellow Ranger, right? Way back, Trini, the yellow saber-toothed tiger ranger. Yes. That's a male character in the Japanese donor footage, both in and out of the suit. However, in the US, yellow tend to be viewed fashion-wise as a feminine color. And so they decided to make Trini a female character, obviously, in the series. Of course, it balanced the team out for 3 guys and 2 girls, which tends to work out pretty well in a male-centered show. You do like to have girls around because some boys have little sisters and they like to play along too. So Trini and Kimberly gave them a place to belong inside of the story if the boys wanted to play Power Rangers out back. And also, you could end up selling action figures to them, you know? Who knows? Maybe they're into that. But again, Hasbro can't figure this out. This is all a mystery to Hasbro. They went and got their GLAAD award. You want to know why? I'll bring you back to that Yellow Ranger point, okay? Throughout the entirety of the franchise, most of the Yellow Rangers are male in their donor footage, meaning the Japanese footage that made these, the Super Sentai footage, has a male character wearing that yellow costume. And most of the time when it comes to the US, a female is put in there. She's usually characterized as a tomboy in order to rectify the aggressive behavior seen in the Yellow Ranger footage from Japan with the American footage featuring a female. And usually it works out. Most of the time, the yellow characters, the Yellow Ranger characters that we see in Power Rangers are, you know, not that masculine. They're not like pushing the line of trans. They're just girls that will go out and put their fist in your face first. They'll punch first. Whereas the Pink Ranger is the one that, you know, wants to fight back. The Yellow Ranger is the one that, you know, starts to fight. And I don't mind that. I think that's a good choice to emphasize how the varied attitudes of Americans are. Because, of course, across the boys, there's different archetypes. When you added Tommy in, you had a stoic male. With Jason, you had the aggressive male. With Billy, you had the nerdy, introverted male. David Yost was gay in real life. Take that wherever you'd like. But then with Zach and Adam, you had like this sort of reserved, I want to teach the world something. My mission is greater than the Power Rangers situation. And I just, it felt really good. And somehow Hasbro can't make money on this. And we'll go into it right now. Here they are explaining this. As announced by Hasbro on April 22nd, Hong Kong-based Playmates Toys will get the rights to develop additional cross-category Power Rangers products. This includes figures, blasters, role-play toys, vehicles, and accessories, but they won't be distributed in Asia. This is because Bandai has control of that, and that's Super Sentai stuff, and when it's put on the shelf next to each other, they look exactly alike. So let's not worry about brand confusion issues, so they just don't distribute in Asia, the Power Rangers stuff. But meanwhile, Hasbro themselves will retain entertainment rights and will continue to drive global strategy and growth for the Power Rangers franchise by strategically working with licenses across multiple categories. Pay attention, including publishing, fashion, and footwear, promotions, and more. Hello, did you not hear video games? Did you not hear movies? Did you not hear TV? Of course you didn't hear that. You heard entertainment, meaning they're going to hold the rights to that. They're not going to give Playmates Toys the rights to make TV, movies, video games. They're going to hold on to those, but they're not going to make them. Because that lower part right there, all that is a lifestyle brand. They want you wearing Power Rangers, not experiencing it. It's too hard to make like television shows and movies and stuff. It's not like you get 60% of the footage from Japan or anything, but you know, it's just too hard. Because again, they go on to explain this. CEO Chris Cox went on to say, this is why we're doing this. He says, 2 years ago, we outlined our selection criteria and what it would be. He said, basically, can we generate $50 million in revenue at a 10% operating profit? Can we grow to $100 million or more in revenue? Pay attention to that word, revenue, at a 15% operating profit on a line. And so basically, we've chosen the lines to outsource that we don't think meet those thresholds. And wouldn't you know, Power Rangers is one of them. But another company, right, like Playmates Toys, but another company with maybe a different cost structure or a different set of expertise could still make a really nice business, even if it was sub 50 million. Pause, hard pause, hard pause. This means that in revenue, not in profit, in revenue, Power Rangers is not bringing in $50 million. How? How do you do that? How? They are, of all the things, they're literally colored like the rainbow. You would think BlackRock would want to make them the hood ornament of the entire SJW movement, that they would want to make a Power Ranger for every sexuality there is. And the Sixth Ranger would be a gender changer Rubik's Cube guy, gal, them. But no, somehow they're just like, we're going to stomp this hopeful vision of unity out. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's part of a greater agenda to just stomp out a vision of unity among people from different backgrounds. Because if you think about it, that's what the Power Rangers really advocates. Is it advocates people like Billy getting along with people like Zach, getting along with people like Jason, getting along with people like Kimberly, getting along with people like Tommy, getting along with people like Trini. All these people that come from very different backgrounds coming together to protect their earth, to protect what they love, their family, their town, Ernie's juice bar, whatever's under attack this week. It's maybe that's what they're trying to do, is stomp out this vision of people putting aside their differences and becoming friends over the things that unite them. Maybe that's what it is. Because I can't think of a more unifying message that was in Power Rangers. That's really what it is. Beyond the message of going out and doing good you're on your own, and that anybody can be a hero, you know, Power Rangers at its core is telling you that together with teamwork, when you put your differences aside, you can accomplish anything. That's a really good and American message to put out. So I have to wonder, why are they getting rid of it, if not for the fact that it flies in the face of the globalist agenda to completely obliterate normalcy? To obliterate what it was to be an American. Power Rangers lived that melting pot message that America was supposed to be culturally. Just don't even think about Mighty Morphin. Just go back through any Power Rangers series you've seen even advertised. It's not a straight white one racial demographic team. I'm just closing my eyes because I'm just going through all of them that I know, like, you know, spinning through a spinner rack of them all. And they're not all a single demographic. Most of the time, they're not even the same, like, education background. They're all brought together from very different. There was a Power Rangers police series where they were led by a dog. A 7-foot-tall, blue, scaly alien dog. And he's the coolest character in that series, in that season. But somehow Hasbro can't make a profit on this. They can't do it. And again, like he goes on and he says, Power Rangers is probably the last brand that they're going to outsource. That's how bad this has gotten. I can't understand it. You've heard me go on and on about it throughout this entire video. I can't wrap my head around this. It makes no sense. And again, here we go. Remember Jonathan Whistle, right? Back in 2020. We're going to reboot Power Rangers. We got a Netflix deal. We're going to make a Power Rangers for children. We're going to make Power Rangers for adults. And guess what? 2024, no new Power Rangers. This is the first time since 2010 that this has happened. That was back when Disney had the bright idea that they were going to sunset the brand as well, because they somehow ran out of ideas with it. I don't understand. It has to be the politics that pushes this. They're 5 brightly colored teenagers with attitude. They've had all these different teams show up over the years that, you know, have different backgrounds. They're police, they're magic users, they're ninjas, they're samurais, they're ninjas again, they're dinosaur-oriented people, the dinosaur door-oriented people again. You know, again, if it works, it sells, right? What the hell? You have, like, this sales chart that comes from Japan every time these damn series come out. Think about that. You have the proof that this sells because the donor footage is an independent franchise. You can analyze every part of their structure to see where it works and it doesn't and fill in those gaps on your end when it gets adapted. I'm sorry, it's just so mind-boggling to me how they managed to screw this up. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about this. You certainly know how I feel about it. Maybe you've got an idea of how to save the Power Rangers brand. For me, I'm going to make my own. I'm going to go out there and make my own Power Rangers. I'm going to go out there and create a new franchise that's not going to be called Power Rangers. I'm not going to tread on their brand likeness. I'm going to make my own thing about people wearing brightly colored uniforms, helmets, and going out and saving people's lives because I believe in that message that anyone can be a hero. A righteous heart can change the world. That's what I truly believe this franchise is about, and that's why Hasbro has stumbled so hard with it, is because at their core, they don't believe that. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next video, and may the power protect you.